this bounce type, just to give you some basic understanding of the type animator. So what we're going to do is just start by making a simple composition. I'm just going to use this setting here, black. I'm changing it to 10 seconds, so black's the background. Name it bounce type. And then we're going to start by doing a horizontal type tool. I'm just going to type bounce. And then what we want to do is open up our text animator. So if I drop down here, we've got text and our animate options. So the first thing I'm going to do is just animate the position. Now we can add all sorts of other animators here, but position's the main one we want to start with. And you can see initially right here it gives us animator 1, and it gives us a position setting and a range selector. And what the first thing we're going to do is just shift our position. So this is where it's going to end up, and we need to have a starting position. So I'm just going to slide it down here. Maybe we'll just put 1,000 in the setting there, so it moves that down a little bit further. But the idea is that it's going to bounce up. So how we animate that is the range selector, and you can see we can animate excuse me, the offset. So I'm just going to go down the timeline here and animate that, and you can see that those start coming in certain ways. So as you can see that starts to come in pretty quick in the right way. One thing that I would like, though, notice that each letter comes in separately and then the next one starts, and I'd like those to come in a little bit more gradual. So if you drop down here on the advanced option, we have some shape options, and ramp up and ramp down give you some options. So ramp up is going to give you a little bit more control. The problem that has when we add in different shapes, it may create a little strangeness here with the keyframes. So I need to change my offset here to -100, and that will take care of that. So that's my first movement. So if you look at that, it just comes in individually. So using that range selector allows us to select each one of those letters and have them animate. And you can see the selector move through as the percentage of letters is selected. That's about 50% letters right there. Notice a 50% offset, and we're selected 3 in place, 3 not. So you can kind of see how that works. So the next thing I'm going to do is just take my animator, Command D or duplicate. I believe that's right up here, duplicate, edit, duplicate. And then with this, I'm going to reset my position, because if you look at what's happened here, when I duplicated that, watch this, it multiplied the two positions together. And so I need to reset that position to 0 to bring that back into place. But what I want this to do now is actually go beyond. So I want it to come up and then come back down. And so what I'm going to do is change that position to a positive. Oh, excuse me, negative. You can see I can bring that up closer. So maybe a -200 or something. Let's see what that does. Okay, and then what we're going to do is offset our keyframes here. So you can see they're offset from the animator 1 keyframes. And then as you can see, what it'll do is come up and then kind of bounce back down. So you can kind of see how that looks. All right, it's coming up a little fast, so I may want to adjust those 2 keyframes. Just open that up a little bit. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is add one more animator. So I'm just going to Command D, and again set that at 0. We'll slide these keyframes over a little bit. And what that'll do is give us another little bounce. So as they come up, so they'll kind of jiggle in place. We can offset this a little bit more if we want more movement, as well as increase this. So that's how we get a little bit more movement from those letters. Now the next thing that we could do as well on these, we should add a little bit of easing. And I like to do just 50 on both high and low, because those seem to get better results with this technique. So let's see how that looks. So you can see it's starting to kind of get there. Maybe these need a little more offset. There we go. You can see as that offset, we get a little bit better bounce. So depending on how far apart these are, we'll give you a little bit more stall, or it'll tighten things up. So you can find your best balance where that seems to fit right. So that second bounce gives it a little bit of height, and then the third animator gives it a little bit of a jiggle as it settles. So you can see how those things are set up. So that's how you make a little bounce type with your type animator. And then the awesome thing about this too is you can just change your type. So if I go in here and want to change my type to jump, let's say, you can do that with any piece of text. So it might take a little bit of time to set up the animation, but then once you get it set up, you can drop in other text. So it can be an efficient way of really getting you some cool stuff with very little effort.